He laughed in my face when I showed him my idea. Right there, in front of the whole office, he called it a child's fantasy. I stood there, holding the blueprint of a business that would one day be worth millions, while he tore it apart like trash. Everyone laughed with him, and I stood there, silent, burning inside. Like, share, and subscribe if you believe revenge should be served cold. Stay with me till the end. You won't believe how it all turned around. I knew from that moment I had no friends in that office, only people waiting to watch me fail. What they didn't know was that I had already hidden the real weapon. The version I gave my boss? It was just the surface. The real plan, the one that could change everything, was locked away where only I could reach it. Weeks passed. They forced me out. No warning, no notice, just a cold email saying, "Services no longer required." The same boss who mocked me had now taken my fake plan and was parading it around as his own. Boardrooms, investors, press releases, all built on the ashes of what he thought was my best work. But while he celebrated, I was quietly building something bigger, something real. Every sleepless night, every ignored call from family, every fake smile I had to give in those cold office walls, it was all about to pay off. And the best part? He never saw it coming. The first time I saw the company announcement, my heart should have broken. They were bragging about a launch, using the skeleton of my stolen idea. My ex-boss was standing on a stage, cameras flashing, acting like he had built it from scratch. He smiled for the reporters, shook hands with investors, and promised them an innovation that would change the future. But deep down, he had no clue. He was standing on a ticking time bomb. While he was busy giving fake interviews, I was already 5 steps ahead. Quietly, I had registered the real version of the company under my own name, protected, patented, and backed by silent partners who believed in me. They weren't looking for noise, they were looking for something real, and I had it. Meanwhile, my ex-coworkers, the same ones who laughed when I was kicked out, started posting about the historic launch on LinkedIn. They acted like heroes who had built something legendary. I watched and smiled. They were celebrating a corpse. A week later, the cracks started to show. Clients began complaining. The tech didn't work. The structure was faulty. Investors started asking hard questions. My ex-boss had no answers. Because the real magic, the real system that would make the idea succeed, had never been in the files he stole. It was buried deep inside me, untouched, untouchable. One night, as I sat in my small apartment, the same one I could barely afford after losing my job, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was one of the biggest venture capital firms in the country. They had seen my hidden prototype, the real deal, and they wanted to meet. Immediately. I looked out my window at the city lights, feeling a fire I hadn't felt in months. The people who once treated me like nothing were about to learn my name the hard way. And trust me, I wasn't planning to go easy. I walked into their glass office building wearing the same old jacket I had worn when I was fired. No fancy suit, no fake smiles. Just me, my plan, and the proof of everything I had built when nobody was watching. The meeting room was packed, 5 investors, serious faces, sharp eyes. But as soon as I connected my laptop and showed them the real prototype, their expressions changed. First shock, then curiosity, and finally, excitement. One of the senior partners leaned forward, unable to hide his grin. "Where have you been hiding all this?" he asked. I smiled but didn't answer. Let them wonder. Let them feel the weight of what they almost missed. By the end of the meeting, they offered me a deal most people would only dream about. Millions in funding, full creative control, and a launch team bigger than I could have ever built alone. I shook hands, signed the papers, and walked out richer than I had ever imagined. But I wasn't done yet. The first thing I did with my new power, I scheduled a massive launch event right across the street from my old company's office. Billboards went up overnight, advertisements flooded social media, invitations were sent to the same investors, the same journalists, the same tech insiders who once cheered for my boss. The morning of the event, I stood by the window of my hotel suite, coffee in hand, and watched chaos unfold across the street. My ex-boss had just found out about the launch. Phone calls, meetings, panicked emails. Too late. Because what he didn't know was that the real story was about to be exposed in front of everyone, and once it started, there would be no way to stop it. The launch day arrived like a storm. From the moment the sun rose, the city buzzed with one name: mine. News vans lined up outside the venue, influencers live-streamed every second. Tech bloggers kept posting mysterious captions, "Something huge is coming today." Meanwhile, across the street, my old boss's office looked like a sinking ship. I could almost feel the fear bleeding from their windows. Inside the grand hall, everything was perfect. A sea of flashing lights, reporters whispering, competitors pretending not to be curious. But what none of them knew was that the biggest explosion wasn't in the product. It was in the story I was about to tell. I took the stage. The crowd went silent. I didn't start by showing off my innovation. I started by telling them a story. My story. 1 year ago, I said, my voice calm but heavy, I stood in a room not far from here. I presented an idea, and it was stolen, mocked, destroyed. Today, you're not just seeing a launch, you're seeing the truth. Gasps rippled through the audience. I clicked the remote, and behind me, a massive screen lit up, showing emails, timestamps, patents, all proving my ownership of the original idea. Every dirty trick, every stolen file, every fake claim my ex-boss made, exposed in front of hundreds of cameras. People started whispering, pulling out their phones. Some were already tweeting. My ex-boss, standing across the street in his glass tower, could do nothing but watch. Then came the real blow. I revealed the full working version of my product, far superior to the half-baked copy they had tried to launch. Live demo, flawless performance, real investors confirming deals on stage, media going wild. Reporters rushed outside, literally running to cover the bigger story, how a failed ex-employee destroyed $1 million fraud in one single move. Back in his office, my ex-boss must have realized not only had he lost everything, but now his reputation was also burned to ashes, publicly, permanently. But I wasn't done twisting the knife. As the audience cheered and the cameras flashed, I dropped one final bombshell. I had quietly acquired a 35% stake in his company through third parties while he was too busy stealing fake ideas, effective immediately. I was now one of his biggest shareholders. The silence in the hall was deafening for a split second. Then the room exploded into applause. I stepped back from the microphone, breathing in the moment I had waited for. From nothing to everything, and all they ever gave me was a reason to keep going. And this was only the beginning. The next few weeks felt like living in a movie. Headlines everywhere screamed my story. Fired employee destroys his former boss. From betrayal to billion-dollar empire. The ultimate revenge you have to see to believe. Offers flooded in from investors, celebrities, even government contracts. Everyone suddenly wanted a piece of the guy they once ignored. And my ex-boss? He tried to survive. Held emergency board meetings, fired his own team, blamed everyone but himself. But it didn't matter anymore. The investors pulled out. The stock price collapsed. The board voted him out of his own company. The last time I saw him, he wasn't the proud man who had once laughed in my face. He was standing outside that same glass office building, holding a single cardboard box, watching the life he stole crumble between his fingers. He looked up, and for a second, just a second, our eyes met. No anger, no shouting, just cold silence. He knew. He knew I had beaten him at a game he thought he controlled. I got into my black SUV, the doors closing quietly around me. No need for revenge speeches, no need to rub it in. Success was louder than anything I could ever say. As we drove away, my phone buzzed. Another email, another opportunity, another door opening. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled without any bitterness, because the best revenge wasn't about destroying him. It was about building a life so big, so unshakable, that his betrayal didn't even matter anymore. He gave me hate. I turned it into fuel. And now, I was unstoppable. If you loved this story of sweet revenge and silent success, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. More shocking real-life stories are coming, and you won't want to miss them.